Hello everyone. I thought it would be cool to showcase some of my old game maker projects, and in this case we are looking at an indie game I made. It actually got cancelled pretty recently ago, so it's not that old of a game maker game. It was cancelled in October of last year, where I decided to mainly focus on fan games instead of indie games. So this is pretty much my only true effort at an indie game. I switched to fan gaming for various reasons that I do not have the time to explain right now. But either way, this is Environ. The main gimmick of this indie game is that you can switch environments, and these both affect your attacks and they affect those levels, sort of. The layout is still the same, but certain gimmicks like water or gimmicks you'll see later on are affected by which environment you have chosen. First off, this is the factory environment. You can shoot electric orbs. You can shoot them in 6 directions, so not straight up, not straight down, but every other direction pretty much. They can bounce on slopes like this and other surfaces. And what's also in this game, you can charge your attacks. You can see that I'm glowing right now, and if I release the button now, I get a stronger version of the electric orb that does not bounce on terrain. It's kind of like a charge shot in Mega Man. This game in general is a lot inspired by Mega Man. I started it pretty recently after discovering the series, so yeah. The electric orbs can also be used to power machines, like this one over here, and if we hit it, it opens the gate over there. Now before we move on, I want to showcase some of the other environments. These are the environments. The menu is a work in progress. Well, it's not actually anymore because I'm not working on this game anymore, but back then this was not finished. So first off, we have the forest environment. This is the normal attack, sort of leaf blower. It can deal multiple hits on enemies. For example, these enemies are the chemical glasses. They shoot this kind of chemical liquid on you. At least I try to, and you can sort of score multiple hits on them that way. The charge attack is huge thorns that come out of the ground. You basically throw a seed, and when it touches the ground, it grows thorns that move a lot. That can also damage enemies, of course. Here's the ice environment. It can shoot ice shards. They do not actually freeze enemies or anything, they just damage them. And the charge attack is a snowball, where you bounce off walls, you can slow down your movement at will, and you can even jump. When it hits an enemy, it also bounces off them, much like they act on walls. Now the canyon, the tile set and the graphics and everything are not finished, so that's why it looks ugly. Normal attack is boomerang. Just the boomerang. I did plan on buffing it eventually, but I never got around to it. And the charge attack is, well, you jump up and perform a giant leap where you shake the earth, so you create an earthquake. And this damages any enemies on the ground. Next up, volcano environment. Here you can also shoot a sort of falling stone, and it creates fire when it touches the surface. This can either be a floor, a wall. Let's go to this bigger wall so I can showcase it better. And flames damage enemies, but stones also damage enemies. And charge attack, that should become a fireball. And you can cancel it at any time, also damages enemies. You are immune to contact damage at this point, but not to projectiles, so you have to watch out. And the sky environment is one that I will showcase in later on. So right now let's just switch back to the factory environment and move on. This is the train enemy. Doesn't really have an official name yet. Probably never will at this point. When you're ahead of it, it will charge at you. When you're not ahead of it, it will just go slowly. Once you damage it enough, slime pops out, and that can be taken care of quite quickly. Now we can activate this machine and it will trigger these blocks here so we can walk over and grab this ladder. Again, a train enemy here. And this is the eye enemy. Just shoots at you in 3 directions. If you're down, it shoots diagonally. Same goes for upwards. And just damage it a few times to kill it. Here once again, chemical glasses. With the charge attack we can take it down rather easily. Here's the cannon, well, the factory cannon. Basically there is a cannon for every environment and it just uses your attack basically. Not all of them are in these levels though, they are in the engine but just not used. Now we can get the machine over there, grab this heart and move on. There's an elevator, it will automatically take you to newer floors and the whole level is basically built around this gimmick. So that you have to pass several floors before being able to go to the end. Here we have these sort of telly enemies. Just one shot can take them down. And this is where either you can just shoot diagonally there, or you can use these slopes to get to the machine. Either will do. Now here's a split path. I am unfortunately only able to showcase one of them, so I'm going to go right here. But if you go up, you'll go through a few alternate screens. These are conveyor belts, they work as you would expect. And of course don't touch spikes, they're evil. They aren't insta-kill, but they do take 1 damage. So be careful around. Here you sort of combine these conveyor belts with the machines to activate the gate over there. And this is the tricky part. Basically up there is where you would go if you took the other route, but we have to go down here. Now, these machines can activate all sort of things, like gates or blocks, but they can also activate these conveyors here. So once you hit the machine, they start moving, and they can get you to higher ground, or past the bottomless pit or anything like that. And in this case, over spikes. So the machine can also activate multiple things at once. Here it activates those blocks and the conveyors at the same time. The black box over there, the special item will be here soon. Sorry. Yeah, there would be like a treasure chest or whatnot, I don't know. There would be something special over there in case you can collect it. Well, in case you can grab this ladder in this case. And you could collect it here, but there's nothing yet in this demo. Not a train here. Yeah, let's kill the slime as well. And here's the golden machine. When you hit the golden machine, it opens the golden gate over there, but most importantly, it lets the elevator move on, so you can access a different floor. So if you hit it, plays a little cutscene, where the light goes green, and if you now take the teleporter over there, you can go back to the elevator and go to this next floor. We're on floor 3. So yeah, these are, well, they don't really have a name, they're just plugs that can shoot electricity at you. All graphics you see, well, most graphics you see, were eventually going to be revamped. Especially the background, that's just not good. But yeah, never really got anywhere. Because I scrapped the game, of course. Here are giant slimes. They are a bit tougher than slimes that spawn from the trains, but nothing too bad really. And you can't just jump over there, you need to use some kind of method to get over there. There are actually 3 methods you could use. You could use a snowball, you could use the fireball from the volcano environment and the sky environment, but we won't get to that yet. So let's just use the fireball to get there and grab the heart. So that's one example of using a different environment, but the first half of the stage is pretty much just the factory environment, because I want players to just understand how that works first before challenging them with other environments. Oh, and the way this was intended to work, once you beat a stage, you unlock that environment to play in other stages. And on top of that, you can also play the environment of that stage. So, for example, if you play the factory stage and you only have the force and ice environments unlocked, you can play as those 3 environments. But if you play the volcano environment level and you only have force and ice unlocked, you only get forced ice and volcano. But if you then beat the volcano environment and go to the factory environment, you have these 4 environments. I'm really bad at explaining it, but it's really not that complicated if you think about it. Once again, you can use the volcano charge attack to get to the special item that would be here. Otherwise, you would just drop here and defeat the cannon that way. So from here on, the level gets a little bit more tricky. For example, here you have to jump over bottomless pits in conjunction with these conveyor belts. This is more of a puzzle room. You have to, well, it's not really that complicated of a puzzle, but you have to shoot the electric orb at one of these slopes and they will go to the machine. Now for this slope, and there we go. The main goal of this game was to create a sort of action and puzzle platform in one. So there will be some puzzle segments, some action segments. Here, well, we're introduced to a new gimmick, the chemical liquid over there. The way this teaches the player is, well, in the previous room you had to use the factory environment, so I'm just assuming you also go into this room with the factory environment, and you immediately notice the chemical liquid at the end. But you also noticed, well, I hope you noticed the machine over here. So you activate it, and you have to use the factory environment for that, so you can see the chemical liquid over there. It only really looks like this in the factory environment, so that's why you need to be in the factory environment beforehand, so you know what that is. And in the intro stage, that's not in this demo unfortunately, but you're introduced to these kind of blocks that you can break with the snowball. So you switch to the ice environment, so that's how you do it. But now you notice that the liquid is frozen. So now you know how that works. You go to the ice environment to freeze the liquid and you can stand on it that way. Here, a little bit more tricky with the spikes, but nothing too bad yet. This, however, quite precise jumping. This is another cannon, just shoots cannonballs but 3 in a row, so it's a little tougher than the others. And once again, activate the golden machine to get to the next floor. Here once again the chemical liquid in conjunction with the machine over there. So you can do this one of 2 ways. Let's first kill the enemies. You can just shoot one diagonally over there and you can open the gate. What you also can do is get the ice environment, stand over here, because there's one block before the gate, and then shoot it from here. It's whatever you want. So here you need to time when to fall down. So yeah, the second part of the stage is a bit trickier than the first, but that's how level design works. So right now it's just mostly combining gimmicks and creating something fun and challenging. Yeah. Collect the heart over there, even though we didn't need it. And here you have 2 gates. But this machine only activates this gate, so you have to go down here to activate that other gate. Conveyors over bottomless pits, of course, a bit more challenging than at first. And activated the machine, so the gate on the other screen is now activated. And we can jump over here. Now you can't just take these chemical glasses out one by one, but if you time it correctly and position it correctly, you can just take it down with one charge shot, which feels satisfying. Now we get to a new enemy, the copy bot, or shadow bot, whatever I wanted to call it, I don't remember. Basically uses your charge attack. Much like the cannons use your normal attack, this way it uses your charge attack. I did plan on telegraphing it, right now it's just very sudden, but I never got around to it. And I accidentally killed it before I could showcase it, but it actually also copies the other environmental moves depending on which environment you've chosen. So if you're on the ice environment, for example, it will copy the snowball and whatever. So now we get to, well, once again, sort of alternate path. If you can stay on the high path, you will be rewarded, but it's tough to stay on that, so you have to make some pretty precise jumps, but we made it. And otherwise you can just drop down there and yeah. Once again, this black box would indicate that there is something there, but it just hasn't been implemented yet. And this room is nothing special, just delis. So I might as well talk about why exactly I scrapped it. Well, aside from aside from moving on to fan gaming, yeah, it's not like I didn't like where this was going. I think this could have been a good game, given some more time. But the main reason why I prefer fan games over indie games, well, at least in terms of developing them, is because indie games just require you to do everything basically. So if you don't like creating graphics, well, you can hire someone for it, but it's just more complicated. I like working in small teams. You also need to do design, which was especially annoying for me. Not necessarily game design, but more like character design or creating concepts. I'm just not that creative of a person, and it would often take me days to just come up with one enemy concept. And also marketing, of course, which is never fun. So eventually I just decided that indie gaming was not for me and moved on to fan gaming. Okay, this is the final teleporter. We are now entering the final room of the level. You can get a big heart and tackle the boss. Which is what I would say if there actually was a boss, because this is as far as we can go. I haven't coded any bosses yet, so yeah, this is basically the end of the level. However, I do have something more to showcase, which is second level, or at least half of the level, which was basically in development when the game got cancelled. So if we press 2, we can go to this alternate level. You're supposed to use the sky environment here, because yeah, it's the sky level. Might as well showcase the sky environment now. The neutral attack is also sort of boomerang, but more horizontally, and it can deal multiple hits to enemies. It's quite a good move, to be honest. And the charge attack is a tornado, which lets you gain height. This is supposed to be more of a late game environment, so I made it a little stronger than the rest. Yeah, you could choose your own levels to an extent, but my plan was to just unlock like 2 or 3 levels at once, much like Mega Man and Days or those games. So here we have balloons. Pretty self-explanatory. They move up and you can jump on them. Here we have fans and wind, so it pulls you towards them. That's what the blue fans do. We'll need red fans later. We can also just kill them like that. And now we have another cannon. I'm not sure why I placed this at the beginning of the level, because the timing is pretty strict. I can't always get it. So if I were still developing this game, I would move this to a late part in the level and just replace this by something else. Or just remove this enemy entirely. Anyway, here you've just learned about wind, so now I put you to the test with this it's not that hard of a platformer challenge, but it lets you explore what exactly the wind can do. And here's vertical wind, which just pulls you upwards. Oh, and I forgot to explain this enemy, but it simply shoots at you. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Now we can get over here with the wind, and here would be another reward, but yeah, it's not there. Much like the ones we encountered in the factory stage. Okay, you can't actually get up there, so you can't cheat by doing this. You really need to use the method I used earlier. And this is more of a room where the vertical wind is put to the test. I might as well also talk about the music in this game. It's composed by Howard Dopemine, I hope I pronounced that correctly. He's a great composer in my opinion. I'm really glad to have had him on the project. There actually are more themes than just this one and the factory stage theme. But those aren't in the game. He created the boss theme, some more stage themes, and they are all pretty good in my opinion. So huge thanks to him. Now we have the Dark Cloud. Not sure if that's his real name. But this one doesn't shoot at you, it just creates this sort of beam around him. In this case it wasn't that hard to get by, but yeah. Oh, just forgot to explain that the background here is obviously not correct. There is no background yet for sky environment, so I'm mostly tend to use the forest background because it fits the most, but yeah. Sorry for not changing that earlier. The music, by the way, also changes depending on which environment you use. There are 3 versions of each song. There's the regular version, which is played on both the forest and canyon environments, which is basically neutral instruments. Then there's the heavenly version, which is ice and sky, with more of these light instruments, if that makes sense. And then there's the dark or the hell or the metal or whatever you want to call it version, which plays a volcano and factory. So yeah, these are vastly different versions of pretty much the same song, just to keep variety and to further encourage using these new environments. Let's switch to sky again with the forest background. Yeah, this balloon section looks trickier than it really is. You can even just do that, it won't crush you or anything, so it's not that hard. Here these enemies get a little more tricky, because you need to maneuver around them or just shoot them from a distance, that also works. But later on they will get tougher, but you see what I mean eventually. Also, there are no sound effects yet, as you've probably noticed. Well, aside from these footsteps and the boomerang sound effect. That's because I'm still looking for someone to do that for me, but I didn't have any luck, I could never find someone, so yeah. Those aren't there yet. Here are the red fans, they blow you away from them. Here you can just move along with it if you want, but that takes some time, so I want to create something quicker and more fun, so you can climb up this ladder, fall down here, and do it this way. Here, wind combined with enemies, and this is where it gets a little more tricky, but still not as tricky as a section that's coming up. Because the wind tends to blow you inside of these beams, so you need to be careful. And we are now pretty much reaching the second part of the stage, at least what would be the second part if it was actually complete. It's about 3/4 in, I'd say. Now you need to combine these vertical winds with enemies, and you actually need to time when to approach this, which can be a bit tricky at first. These are birds that home in on you. yeah, nothing much to explain there. Once they get close to you, they home in on you, and you need to avoid them, of course. Now here's the balloon section. This is what I was talking about when things get a little trickier. Well, not necessarily trickier, but especially with this section, this makes better use of these enemies, where you need to jump on these exact balloons in the right order to pass them without taking damage. Now in this metal crate, in the intro stage, it would have been introduced that with the forest environment's neutral attack, so this leaf blower, you could blow these metal crates away. So immediately you would think to switch to the forest environment and use your leaf blower. But now you also notice that these clouds are gone. So you now know that these clouds can be gotten rid of with the leaf blower. And here you also learn that they can obstruct obstacles, like spikes. We're now approaching the last room in the game, which is sort of a puzzle, like which one is it? Well, spoiler, it's the last one. And that's it for this game. Yeah, overall I do still think this is a good game. I think it could have been a much better game if I had actually continued it, but I didn't, because once again I just switched to fan gaming, mostly Mega Man fan games. Currently working on a Mega Man project as well, but I'm not sure when that will be released or revealed at that point. Yeah, thanks for watching this one. Hope you enjoyed it. There is a download link to this project in the description. The exact same version that I'm playing, so it's not complete or anything, but it's definitely playable. One thing to note, you can press 1 to go to the factory environment level and 2 to go to the sky environment level. That's it. Thanks for watching. Hope you consider playing this game, or at least hope you enjoyed watching my playthrough of this game, and see you next time.